give us a fitness update and let us know whether there are any injuries in the squad?
Yep. All players are fit and available for selection apart from Jack Willis. Jack unfortunately suffered an injury in the game, in the test match versus Chile, that he's worked to recover from, rehab from. Unfortunately, he's been unable at this stage to be fit. What that's meant is that Jack has left the squad and his replacement will be announced in due course. We're obviously disappointed, really disappointed for Jack. He's been an important member of this team, done really well, played an important role in the Chile game, an important member of the squad over this last period of time. The injury we anticipate will be just a few weeks, but clearly with the timescales we operate in, it's meant that he'll be replaced in the 33.
Sorry to hear that, and for him. If I could ask you a little bit about Samoa. We know that you've already topped the group and already secured your spot in the quarter-final, but you've obviously named a really strong side for this weekend. Can you talk us about your selection and your thinking going into this game?
Yep. I think Samoa are a really strong side. They're powerful, they've got a lot of pace, and they play a physical type of rugby. And what we face is in experienced players. You see Sopoaga at 10, McFarland in the back row, Luatua in the back row. You're seeing really top quality players. So I think our preparation has been strong. I'm really pleased with the team that we put out this week, and I'm looking forward to seeing them go on Saturday.
Owen, if I can just ask you, I believe you're now just 2 points away from overtaking Johnny Wilkinson in terms of becoming England's record point scorer. What does that record mean to you, and what would that mean for you in your career?
I've not given it too much thought, to be honest. It's obviously not something you like to think about too much before anything's done. And obviously my sole concentration is on the game at the weekend and preparing for what's a massive test against Samoa. But the one thing I will say is that it's been an honour to have the chance to play for England as much as I have to be in the vicinity of that record, to be able to play with this group of players, but all the players that I've played with before and staff. Yeah, the one thing I would say is that it's been an honour so far.
Steve, you've had a 2-week build-up into this game now. So what has that 2-week break allowed you to do ahead of this next block of fixtures coming up?
Well, I think it was important after the first 3 test matches of the World Cup was everybody had a break and came into training incredibly refreshed and looking ahead. And we've been looking very focused on this Samoa game. I think that the team has continued to build through this tournament, and I think it's an opportunity this week for the first time for a little while. We're playing George Ford and Owen Farrell together at 10 and 12, and I'm excited to see that partnership go together. They've had periods, the latter part of the Chile test match together. The first time they've started for a little while. I think I'm seeing the team get sharper. I think I'm seeing the team gradually, as they're spending more time together, building more of the tightness of cohesion in how we want to play.
Was this your most difficult selection? I guess Jack aside, probably the first time you've had a full deck of cards to pick from.
I think we are in a real privileged position to have a fantastic group of players that have, many of whom have performed many times on the biggest of stages. And I think you see a lot of people competing to start. And so from my point of view, I think that's brilliant. To have that depth, to have so many players playing well, it's a great position to be in.
And just one last one on Freddie Stewart, actually. He seems to have a key role in your backfield and does a lot of unseen work. Just how important is he in the style of rugby that you want to play?
Well, I think if you look at the back three, all those back three, in Johnny, Joe Marchant and Freddie, they all work exceptionally hard off the ball. I think Joe Marchant in particular has been one of our standout players through this tournament. I think he does a lot of unseen work, clean up things, doing a lot of running off the ball, creating overloads on the far edges. Freddie Stewart's the same, Johnny May's the same. So I think we've got the blend that we need to get the performance and the result we want this Saturday.
Thank you.
Steve, can I just check on the nature of the injury to Jack?
Yeah, it's a body injury around his neck.
Right, okay. And so, but it's not particularly serious, obviously, which is good news in the longer term.
Yeah, we're obviously, really disappointed for him. Disappointed he's not going to be continuing this World Cup with us, but we anticipate that he'll be back on the field very soon.
And what kind of, I appreciate you can't say who at this point, but what kind of timescale would you be looking at for a replacement to be in camp with you?
I'd mentioned that we'll be, a replacement will be in camp for the start of next week.
Okay. And Owen, obviously lining up alongside George again for the first time in a while. You've played so much rugby together and you've known each other for such a long time. Does that sort of partnership come naturally, or does it still need work, even though you're so well acquainted?
This week's felt good. Is what I will say. This week on the training fields felt good. I'm obviously pretty close to George anyway. We speak about everything rugby wise, regardless of what the team is. Anyway, so we're on the same page. We are on the same page. I'm looking forward to it. People's talked about the amount of tests, the amount of times we've played together before, but not for a while. And I think we'd both hope we've kicked on since we last played together. So hopefully we show that at the weekend.
And Steve, can I just ask about Ben Earl? Obviously, he's been in such great form for you at the World Cup. It's maybe a big sort of show of faith in him from you that he starts this match.
I think Ben Earl has earned every time with the way he's played. He's earned the opportunities that he's got. I think his performances in the second half of last season, the end of last season, for his club side were outstanding. I had the opportunity to work with him a little bit during the Six Nations, and since he entered into camp, he's been terrific. And I say again, this last week's preparation, he, along with all the players, have worked exceptionally hard. The session we did on Tuesday was one of the most intense sessions we've done. Tells me the players are in good shape. Tells me the players are getting sharper, continuing to develop their fitness, and I see the relationships and that cohesion really developing. And I think that back row with Tom Curry, Ben Earl, and Courtney Laws to start is a really good back row. A lot of running it, and then you've got Billy Vinapola to have potentially big impact coming off the bench.
Hi Steve, really disappointing news about Jack. How is he, and when did he realise that he had to go home?
He's naturally very disappointed. His return to being back on the field has already started, and I think that's with a determined man like that wants to be at the very best. I think he's getting stuck into the work that needs to be done, and it was confirmed last night.
Okay, and just to check, did you say that he injured himself in the Chile game?
It was something that happened in the Chile game.
Yeah, okay. And just as a sort of wider point, maybe, because of the fact that he now plays in France, you won't be able to select him, at least for the Six Nations next year. Is that disappointing that for him and for you, that his England career, I suppose, is paused now? He won't be able to play for a few months or maybe even a year or so?
I'm really disappointed for him for this World Cup, for this game this weekend and this tournament. As for anything else right now, we can discuss that after the tournament.
There's been a bit of news around this week about the way the England players might be contracted next season and beyond, and will hopefully help you have some more control over their time management and things like that. Can you just explain how that might help you in years to come, and bringing the guys together like you have done? You've had a lot of time with them this summer. What benefits can that bring for an England head coach?
Yeah, and I understand the question. We'll play Samoa on Saturday, and that's my priority.
Hi Steve. The old cliches, you take every game as it comes, but how much is your selection and approach this week about what's going to happen next in the knockout stages?
It's for Samoa on Saturday. I'll keep answering that question. We're playing Samoa. We're playing against a strong Samoan side, and I picked a team to play against Samoa to get the performance and result we want against Samoa on Saturday.
Hi Owen. You mentioned the partnership with George. I think it's more than 2 years since you've played together. Have you done anything in particular to sort of try and build the understanding back up, or do you think the connection's strong enough that you can just click straight back into place?
We've done everything we think we need to, yeah. I mean, as I said, we're pretty much like that anyway. We'd watch training back together at times. We'd talk about anything that we feel has happened in training, or the team needs, or anything. And obviously the work between us two comes up in that, and not just that. There's other people around that as well. George has had a great partnership with Mitch so far, and obviously I'm looking forward to playing with Manu again as well. So there's a lot more than just that single partnership that you're obviously talking about when it comes to the team's performance this weekend, and it's looking at the whole picture a bit more. Probably that's going to be the key for us.
And have you decided who takes place kicks?
Yes, we have. Yeah, Steve decided.
Then Steve, can you say who's going to take place kicks on Saturday?
Yeah, Owen's kicking a goal on Saturday.
Steve, forgive me, my son's demanded I ask this question. He said, please ask him why he hasn't picked Henry Arundel. He's at London Irish, by the way.
Could you say thank you? Your son's name? Finn. We say thank you to Finn for the question. Henry's a wonderful player, played tremendously well in the game against Chile, and trained well. I think it's another sign of what great talent we have. The team I've picked is the team I think is the right team for this weekend against Samoa, and that's why I stress that point. I've got this great group of players. They're all training brilliantly each day, and I've got the opportunity to ensure that we get the team that's right for the weekend. Thank you.
Owen, if I can ask, Steve has spoken about the adaptability that you and George have. Can you explain how it works? Is it a signal? Is it intuition? Do you say things? I mean, how do you determine if you're going to swap when that comes? If
we're going to swap, well,
just in the situation of the game.
I think I know what you're talking about. I guess we're both pretty used to playing first receiver, and when it is fluid, and when maybe one person's in the spot are ahead of one person, and sorry, I'm not explaining that brilliant. Say if, for instance, I'd be ahead of George heading to the ruck. There's no real problems if I was sat at first receiver for a phase. Obviously, we're both interchangeable. We can both do both jobs and organise thereafter. So yeah, it's pretty simple. I'm not really going to make that into something it's not.
No, I was just wondering whether whether you would tell each other, or just a signal. You just knew because you played together.
Yeah, there's lots of that goes on everywhere in every team. There's players that are used to stepping up at first receiver all over the park, and it's not just because they've played number 10 before. I have it at the club with Alex Good. New Zealand have both Barretts and Richie doing it. There's obviously different people who step up for all different nations. So yeah, it's not too much of a pre-planned thing. It just kind of happens.
But also the flexibility that you have as a team. We're talking about that. Does that make the opposition have to think twice? Does it actually plant seeds of doubt potentially in their heads because they can't be certain of what your setup's going to be?
You'd hope so. I guess the main point for us is that we play to our strengths. Is that we play to the players that are on the field strengths, because obviously we're talking about the back line there. We've obviously got Manu, who's got a pretty particular strength, and we want to get him into the game as much as possible. We've got both wings and fullback who bring what they bring. So it's not really something that, as it's talking about here, it's not really something that we're discussing about being interchangeable too much. It's about bringing the best of the people that's on the field.
And Steve, if I can ask you one quick one. You talked there about what you've seen in training and the positivity that's given you. Has that improvement, coming together, forward movement of the team actually been a positive surprise for you, or have you reached the stage that you were looking to reach within the group at this point in the tournament?
I think the players have progressed really well, and I think you always have a plan in mind of how you want to develop and how you want to progress. And I think that within that plan you need to adapt. And we've had some things thrown at this team has had some things thrown at them, and I keep seeing the players facing those challenges and really pushing on, and that's what I've continued to see this week.
Steve, what kind of things do you consider when you're picking Dan ahead of Kyle at tight head?
And I think we've got three good tight heads there with Dan Cole, Carl Sinker and Will Stewart. And I think there's always a factor of how I think the game's going to go, what the players are looking like, what the combinations I want to play together are. I know Dan's an incredibly experienced international player, and this is a big game, and I think he's the right person to start this game, and Carl's the right person to come on and have impact in the second half.
Do you think scrummaging will be particularly big earlier on in the game?
Scrummaging is always very important. You're talking to a tight 5 forward here. Scrummaging is always very important, and I think the scrums, doesn't matter how many you are, if you have less scrums, each one is even more important. What we see is a big Samoan pack that's got a lot of power in it, and I think Dan Cole's the right person to start this game. And I think that front row, I think they all know each other pretty well, played a good number of games with each other, and I think that's the right one to start. I think you then look at the bench, and I start seeing you mentioned Kyle coming on, his athleticism that he brings as a tight end prop, the speed he brings, Theo Dan, the speed and power he brings, and Joe, the experience he brings onto the pitch. So I think we're in a strong position there in the front row.
And a similar question for Johnny ahead of Elliot on the wing.
Yeah, again, it's the blend in that back line. I think we've got players playing well. Elliot's played really well through this tournament. Johnny has come in. I think he's been very good at doing a lot of the unseen work that was discussed earlier. And I think we've got a back three that do that very well, that I think will complement what we've got at 10, 12 and 13.
Thank you. And just a quick one for you as well. You talked about you and George sitting down and watching training sessions back. What kind of things do you look out for? What are the areas that you're talking about when you're sitting watching those sessions back together?
Most things, to be honest. Just trying to understand what each other is seeing. Trying to make sure we're on the same page. Speaking openly, really, just about what we're seeing from training, and making sure that aligns. And that's been going on not just this week because we're playing together. That's been going on the whole time anyway. So that's been no different this week.
Hi Steve. Question about Manu. I think it's his first game against Samoa. Just how special would that be for him?
Yeah, I think it certainly has a great significance to him, and I think especially to his family. So and we understand that with the heritage, and he's also very a man who's very proud to play rugby for England. And I've no doubt this weekend he'll be given his all as he continues to do. I think he's another player who's played very well through this tournament, and I know as we want that experience that he brings on the pitch, the power that he brings on the pitch, I'm sure he'll bring it on Saturday.
Hi Steve, can I just check, have you decided who Jack's replacement is going to be?
I'm getting everything checked at the minute, and it's not confirmed. I'll confirm it in due course.
Just wondered a couple of off-field things. Owen, have you heard from Theo at all this week? And am I right in saying there was a North v South Ryder Cup match play golf sometime this week? How did that go?
I don't want to talk about it. The South one, so I don't want to talk about it. But no, I've not talked to Theo, no. Not this week.
Any further questions? We'll conclude. Thanks very much.
Thank you.